More on Obamacare now, as complicated and conflicting regulations have business owners, quite frankly, scratching their heads, trying to figure out how many hours the law actually considers a work week. Well, that vote's set to happen just 20 minutes from now. To make matters worse, many workers are seeing their hours cut along with their paychecks because a provision in the employer mandate defines full-time now as 30 hours, not 40. Our next guest has introduced a bill to protect American workers by restoring the traditional definition of a 40-hour work week. Joining us now, Indiana Congressman Todd Young. Congressman, just as I'm actually reading that introduction, it's so confusing on its face. And also, who would have ever thought that we'd be debating what a real work week actually is? It's been 40 hours forever, right?
Well, it's counterintuitive. It certainly defies common sense. And Democrats over in the United States Senate are ironically debating a 25% increase in the minimum wage. And so we over here in the House are trying to create an America that works. We're trying to implement legislation that would restore the 40-hour work week and prevent a 25% reduction in the hours and wages of 2.5 million workers. And these aren't high-income workers. These are hourly workers that are being adversely impacted by this provision of the law. And that's why we have a whole lot of Republicans and even a handful of Democrats that have signed on to the Save American Workers Act.
And Congressman, we appreciate you coming out because we understand that they're actually debating this right now on the House floor. The vote will be imminent when you return. But explain for us how this would actually repeal then a part of Obamacare and what the subsequent changes then to the law would be.
Sure. So under Obamacare, if you employ 50 or more employees at 30 or more hours, then you have to provide them with Obamacare sanctioned health insurance, very expensive health insurance, incidentally. So a number of employers that are operating on thin profit margins or school corporations or universities like those in my district in southern Indiana are moving their employees down below that 30-hour threshold because simply, Gretchen, they just can't afford to provide this government-sanctioned health insurance. That's, in some cases, causing employees to lose 10 hours a week, which amounts to an entire work week over the course of a month.
Right.
These are wages people depend upon, and the average family that's adversely impacted by this provision makes less than $30,000 a year. So these are precisely the sort of people we ought to be helping.
Interesting.
And that's why I'm hoping for a bipartisan vote here.
Well, Congressman, let me ask you this, because it's probably going to pass in the House. You say it's bipartisan to some extent, but the Republicans, of course, are going to carry the House. And then what's going to happen in the Senate?
Well, you never want to predict exactly what's going to happen in the Senate. I know there is some bipartisan sentiment over there in the Senate. My hope is that you'll have some courageous, thoughtful Democrats that will step forward and say, listen, we acted too quickly with respect to health care. We should have come up with a health care law that was put together in a public process with considering all ideas. We know that didn't happen, so there will probably be an effort by many to save face and vote against this restoration of the 40-hour work week. But I would hope that that more people would step forward and do the right thing here.
Well, it will be interesting to see because, as we've been reporting on this show for the last couple of weeks, there are a group of about 6 Democrats in the Senate who have proposed their own fixes to Obamacare. All right, Congressman, back to vote, I guess, and thanks so much for taking the time with us today.
Thanks for having us, Gretchen.